In this lesson, let's talk about importing from a camera. So we're in Final Cut Pro. I'm going to do two things before we get started. Number one, the name Energy up here, I want it more descriptive, I think. So here's a trick on a Mac. If you press the return key after you've got Energy selected, it automatically takes you into edit mode. And that is true of anything on your Mac. A file, a folder, doesn't matter. You select it, press the return key, you got it. So I'm going to go to the front end and type in WEC for the World Energy Consortium Energy Project. If you press the return key again, it takes you out. I'm going to select here, press return. I'm going to call this holding. Why? Well, my method may not be your method, but what I like to do is I like to have an event, and sometimes I call those folders, but I shouldn't, that's an event. What I like to do is have one called holding, and that's the first place everything goes. Once it's imported, I check it out, see if I like it or not, decide maybe to put it into a different, more organized event. So that's why I do that. Do you have to? Of course not. So I've got holding. Let's go into import media. I have several digital cameras. You probably do too. Mine currently is right up here. It says Canon. Now, what cameras can and cannot be supported? There are, unless it's a very old camera, very few cameras that will not be supported with Final Cut Pro. In fact, I've got some pretty old digital cameras, and they still will work. They will appear up there. Once you've got it selected up here, your files or clips are down here. So I've got these two. We had a really, really big late winter storm, and so I thought I'd take some images of it. I want both of those, so I'm going to select these two. I don't want these. Import selected. Now, once you're here, we have looked at this information in the chapter when I talked on preferences, but let's go over some of it. Do you want to add it to an existing event called holding? It's the only one I have. Yes. Do you want to create a new event? I could if I want to, but I don't. I always put things in holding first. Down here, the transcoding, we're going to talk more about this stuff when we actually need it, but I want to revisit media storage up here. We have copy files into the Energy Library or leave files in place, and you will notice that one's grayed out. Why? Because the files are on a camera. If it gave me that option, which would be crazy, if it gave me that option to leave the files in place, every time I tried to work on this particular project, I would have to plug that camera in and turn it on. Now for SD cards, maybe external drives that contain information, that option is on. Now my way of doing this, and it's just me, because I have plenty of storage space, I do like to copy them. So I'm saying, yes, put them into the WEC Energy Library that we created and make a copy of them, leave the originals wherever they happen to be, and click Import. That's going to close the window out, and it's going to open this one up. Now, the beautiful thing about this is we are working with the background. In other words, the background is doing the processing of the information, and if we want to get started, we can. And you'll notice this one up here had a clock. That clock just basically meant that it downloaded it. Same thing with this one right here. So if you're importing information off of a camera, it could take a couple of minutes depending on what you've got and how long it is. But once you have it here, you can begin working with it. Importing from a camera.